we like Dana and John Jones. We a power couple, baby.
Like McGregor and cocaine. Power couple.
Baby.
You want me like here? More intimate?
Hey, you can get as close as you want, baby.
Okay.
This is great. This is already a fantastic start. Jesus Christ.
Amazing. UFC 317. Topuria versus Oliveira. That takes place this Saturday, and we're going to go through that entire card. Prelims up to the main event, or at least as many fights as we could give a f about.
Low-key, I came out here with the PJs because honestly I'd be sleeping on the UFC. So I'm here to learn. I would like to, you know, expand my knowledge, get back into the UFC a good little bit, because I'm not gonna lie, I'd be tired of grappling, and that kind of got me out of UFC for a good little bit. So, you know, Gus is a lot more of a connoisseur of this art.
So like, I know enough about the sport, but not like, I'm not like on Lucas Tracy level, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna pretend that I know who Angela Hill versus like Jessica Andrade or some shit like that, bro. Who even knows about that? Let's be real. They're pretending.
Usually, you know, I do a bunch of breakdown videos on boxing, but, you know, now we're doing some UFC stuff. So, anyway, with that, all that being said, if you like what you see today, make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Your guys' support means the world to me. Without further ado, let's get right into the video.
I'm gonna lose my fucking mind right now.
Oh god.
What a weak card this is. I'm sorry. I'm gonna holy shit. Okay, I was gonna give it a little bit of shit first, but this is International Fight Week. This is bad.
Bro hyped this card up. He's like, yeah, we need to
It's an important fight. It's an important fight, but this card sucks, especially for building up to an event like this. Let me show you this. Early prelims, 1 fight.
Really?
Normal prelims, 2 fights.
Jeez.
8 fights.
How much Dana charging? Like $200, $300? Is he really?
About an acorn.
Oh my
About an acorn.
Oh
that
my
is wow. That's rough. Okay.
Oh god.
I'm gonna ask you this real quick. How many of these people here do you recognize? This is what I'm curious about, because I know who all of these people are, surprisingly, except for that one right there.
Alright, yep, yep. I know these two. That's it.
That's it. Just main event.
Ilia Topuria, Charles Oliveira. That's literally
Perfect. Now you know how I feel when I watch a boxing card. That is how I feel.
I'm so out of my element right now. It's insane.
So the first fight on this is JHONATA DINIZ versus Justin TAFA, and I think the odds speak for themselves as well as the record. I gotta be real, Justin TAFA is fucking terrible. 7-5, most of those are in the UFC. I think he's maybe like 2-3. And who did he lose his last fight to? I know that it was a good opponent that he lost his last fight to. So none of these guys, I would say, are like incredible by any means, but I would say if there's anybody that I would say could climb the rankings still, it would be JHONATA DINIZ. He's got good striking. I don't know necessarily about the grappling all that much.
Is that a high Indian as a tattoo? Is that what I'm seeing right there?
Even though I'm shitting on him, I like the TAFA brothers, but also no. I don't know why we're talking about this one fight so much. TRACEY CORTEZ versus VIVIANE ARAUJO.
I highly doubt that's how you say it. If I'm wrong, dude, if I actually got that right, I'm gonna laugh.
I gotta be honest, I don't know who VIVIANE ARAUJO is. I do know TRACEY CORTEZ. She's pretty good, but like I don't necessarily know that. I'm gonna look at this real quick. Look at these records here. Okay, so TRACEY CORTEZ 11-2, VIVIANE 13-6. Win, last fight, loss. So TRACEY CORTEZ had a recent loss to Rose Namajunas. That's a pretty good loss to have if you're gonna lose to anybody, especially in the women's divisions. That would be Rose Namajunas. It's a pretty good loss.
What do they specialize in? Like grapplers, strikers?
CORTEZ is a little bit more well-rounded. VIVIANE ARAUJO.
Where'd the G come from?
Araujo.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where's the G at?
This is rough. I'm gonna just say TRACEY CORTEZ because, like, yeah.
America, hurrah! Triple the defense budget.
HERMANSSON versus Gregory Rodrigues. This one's a little bit tough for me because Gregory Rodrigues, had a pretty recent loss to Jared Cannonier, and it was not a good loss, I gotta be honest. The whole fight, he wasn't doing really good, and then he kind of just got knocked out. At least from what I remember, Jared Cannonier kind of proved that he still got it, even as like a 40-year-old. He still got it. So that's sort of what's going on with Gregory Rodrigues. Jack Hermansson, he is like the type to fight once every 1.5 years. His most recent win was against Joe Pyfer. I think it was early last year. So he's been out for a long time again. So this is one where I really just don't know who to pick fully. But if I was gonna pick anybody, it would be Jack Hermansson. Even though it says that he's an underdog here, I think that's just because people don't really pay that much attention to Jack Hermansson. And Jack Hermansson has this like ability. He's the prospect killer, I would say, at middleweight. He doesn't have a style that's very acknowledgeable, I would say. Gregory Rodrigues, I would say, like, is a little bit more interesting, but if I had to like give my full prediction to somebody, I would say I would have more faith in Jack Hermansson. He just shut down Joe Pyfer, who is a crazy prospect in the UFC, insane power puncher too, and Jack Hermansson was able to just make that fight go in his direction, however he wanted it. He was able to make it just his own thing. He was able to control Joe Pyfer the entire fight, mix it up, and Joe Pyfer just had no answer for that. Oh, and he was a massive underdog for that fight too. I would not count Jack Hermansson out at all, and I'm going to say he's going to win that probably by decision. Oh, and also I'm going to say for JHONATA DINIZ, by the way, he's going to win that by knockout. And then
why are you so sure about that?
Because Justin TAFA.
Is he that bad?
Yes. TRACEY CORTEZ probably by decision.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a rough one because I like this guy, but this is tough. Payton Talbott versus Felipe Lima. And this is like disappointing to say, I have to be honest, because I love Payton Talbott.
9-1,
like
14.
I'm an artist myself, and like Payton Talbott, if you like pay attention to him, he's a very artsy individual.
Is that a black dot on the center of his chest?
Bleach.
It's bleach?
Yeah, bleach.
Oh, that's
Soul
gas.
Society.
Oh, that's actually so gas.
Yeah, but how do I say this nicely?
How did I not notice that?
How do I say this nicely?
Be careful with your next words. This is YouTube. I'm so scared right now.
And this is where you pull up the video of Payton Talbott pole dancing.
Oh God.
So, and then
That's
you just
a thing?
and then you just skip it. So like, yeah, Payton Talbott, his priorities are not all on UFC, and he is still able to have like a life as a normal person, whereas like most other UFC fighters, especially if they're a huge prospect, they're doing nothing but fighting. Meanwhile, I feel like Payton Talbott, especially if you like pay attention to like his social media and his Instagram, yeah, he's a good fighter, but he just doesn't necessarily have that kind of discipline, and not even discipline, like it feels like he's sort of trying to look nonchalant when he's in the octagon, and like, yeah, he has this calmness about him when he fights, and he just gets an instant knockout, but that can also be the downfall of him, because he's not willing to grit. He's not willing to go to war for something like that. So yeah, I gotta be honest, like, this isn't this. I just don't see Payton Talbott winning this next one against Felipe Lima, who like, I could see. Let me correct myself. I could see a Payton Talbott win, and I could see him restoring his hype after his recent loss, because it seems like that guy that he lost to, what's his name? I forget his name, but he's a prospect killer as well, and he shut down Payton Talbott. So I would say that, like, there's potential for Payton Talbott to still have momentum in the sport, but I would say he's not looking good for him. And his next opponent, Felipe Lima, I'm reading this out. Payton Talbott's 9-1. Felipe Lima is 14-1. Last fight was a win. He's Brazilian too. And he's and he's also a 145er who's going down to 135 as well.
I love how you had the like methodical, calculated analysis, and then you just
like,
straight
can
up
I
go
say
to, he's Brazilian.
Is this okay? I'm like, yeah, he's Brazilian. So like, I'm just gonna be real. Like, unless Payton Talbot can really just shut his lights out and sort of restore that idea of what was Payton Talbot before he got beaten, I'm gonna have to go with Felipe Lima. I just don't really see Payton Talbot getting that done, especially because they're not feeding Payton Talbot like just some random can so that he can get his momentum back up. Seems like UFC's already done with him, which kind of fucking sucks because I like Payton Talbot and I don't think that they should do that. He brings something interesting to the sport, but whatever. I'm talking too much about this fight. Who gives a fuck?
Shame to the Soul Society.
He's brought his shame to the Soul Society, bro. No, Felipe Lima. I'm gonna say probably by decision for that one. Did I miss another one? Jack Hermansson's by decision. I did say that. Yeah. Okay. Next fight. I'm actually very interested in this one. Renato Moicano versus BENEIL Dariush. How do you not know who BENEIL Dariush is?
I'm stupid.
He's youngstan. Look at this build. Look at this build right here. Is it possible for one to attain this build?
I mean, I don't even know.
How old is he? I actually don't know. How old do you think he is?
He look at least like 41.
He's 36.
He's 36? How are you 36 and you look 41?
Bro.
You got the melted father bod, brother.
Bro, why he look like that, bro?
He just looks so depressed. He's giving me the 1,000-yard stare right now.
I think I will always look younger than this man.
I feel offended.
I gotta be honest.
I don't know why, but I feel offended the way this man's looking at me.
BENEIL Dariush, fun fighter, ung status, cool as fuck. But, I just think that Renato Moicano can get this one done. They were scheduled to fight at UFC 311, I believe, which was Islam Makhachev versus Arman Sarukian, and Arman had a tummy ache and decided that he didn't want to fight no more the day of. So Renato Moicano stepped in and decided to fill in as number 10 in the rankings against Islam. What do you think happened?
Probably Islam beat his ass.
Yeah. Submitted him in like a
I
minute.
do know who that is.
I just don't think that this is really changing Renato Moicano's momentum, because Renato Moicano, before he fought Islam, especially on probably the shortest notice that I've ever seen, except for like Dan Ige versus Diego Lopez, this is like the shortest notice for a championship fight. Renato Moicano's been on a fucking tear at lightweight. 2022, he got wins over Drew Dober, Jalen Turner, Benoit Saint Denis. That's an incredible win streak to have, especially at lightweight, and especially after you've been like sort of a win some, lose some type of fighter, especially at 145, and now you're going up and you're having even more momentum. So I would say that this doesn't stop Moicano's momentum, because he had the worst odds against him ever. Like, obviously Islam was going to win that. And I think even with like, I don't think even with good circumstances he would have beaten Islam, obviously, but I think that this doesn't stop the momentum of Renato Moicano, bro. He cannot afford to lose. He cannot afford to lose. I'm telling you, bro. Money Moicano is a real fucking problem, and that he's going to submit BENEIL Dariush in like 2 minutes or some shit. Nah, I'm gonna be.
You're that confident?
No, I'm not that confident. But I'm gonna say like maybe round 2 he could probably submit him. I think BENEIL is still a good fighter, but he's like very chinny, and like now his like. It's weird because he's younger than he looks, but he fights like how he looks now, if that makes sense. Because he looks old as shit, but he's young still. Like, or he's 36, so he's not like that old.
So wait,
but
he doesn't. How he
but
looks.
he's sort of now. But nowadays, like he's way out of his prime, and he's very chinny.
Yeah.
So it's like.
So does he just get hit and then he just kind of keeps coming forward, or?
Yeah, sometimes he'll get hit and he keeps coming forward. He does go to war, but now his chin is kind of cracked at that point. So I would say Moicano, even though Moicano is not a striker by any means, I still think that Moicano could mix it up with BENEIL, and I think that he'd be able to tire him out, weaken him. break his will and probably get a submission in round 2 or something like that. Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van. So this is a fight that I'm actually very excited about, because Joshua Van is an incredible flyweight prospect. He is extremely active, and he's been on a fucking tear at flyweight. And I think that this is also another interesting fight because Joshua Van is sort of, he's not from Thailand, but he's from a country that's near that. Let me find it so I don't sound dumb as hell.
That's gonna happen either way. Yes.
Myanmar.
Oh.
I don't know how to pronounce that country. You pronounce Myanmar.
He's really looking up.
I am.
This is essential. This is essential.
We gotta fill in. We gotta fill in like the extra minutes because this is such a short card. I'm saying this to say, it's interesting that he's stepping up on 3 weeks' notice right after a fight after he beat Bruno Silva. I think that it's interesting, but it's also not out of the ordinary for someone from that region to fight once every, even 2 weeks, honestly, because in Thailand they get 300 fights like by the end of their career, and that's because they don't spar hard, but they fight every other week. So it's more just a mentality of move on to the next. What is next up for me? And next up for him is Brandon Royval, who I gotta be honest, I think Brandon Royval is that guy. I think he's gonna get it. You know his name? His nickname's Rodrigues.
Why?
Bro got 5 kids and 5 baby mamas.
So bro can literally not pull out of a driveway. Bro does not know what a condom is.
not
Myanmar does not believe in condoms.
He's not from Myanmar, he's from the United States.
Oh, you're talking about the other guy?
It's a short notice fight for Joshua Van, but I don't think it's gonna be like a clear Brandon Royval victory, because Joshua Van is just used to that kind of momentum. Like Brandon Royval has like a good enough sort of activity for a fighter. He's Tyra's only loss, especially if he beats Joshua Van now. He's probably going to get a rematch against Pantoja, and that would make it their 3rd fight, I believe. Pantoja's beaten him both on The Ultimate Fighter, and they had their official fight where Pantoja won. But I would say I'm going to say that Brandon Royval is going to get this done. Maybe not championship level, but he's beaten everybody but the champion. I think that Brandon Royval is going to get it done. Maybe, honestly, by like a TKO. Co-main event, Andre Pantoja versus Kai Kara France. I got to be honest, kind of dumb that they made this the co-main event and not like something just as big as Ilia versus Charles. But whatever. It's still a fun fight because Kai Kara France is a fun fighter. He knocked out Steve Ercik recently. That's the only fight from Kai Kara France that I've actually watched. And he knocked out Steve Ercik round 1. And if you know Steve Ercik, he took Pantoja to a very, very close decision. A lot of people were calling it a robbery, myself included. I think that Ercik won that fight, but if you give it to Pantoja, who cares? Whatever. But other than that, Pantoja has proven himself as a champion at flyweight. I think legitimately, if he beats Kai Kara France, flyweight will be broken as a division. I think that at that point he could retire. But if he decides to stick around, flyweight is dead. Just saying it. He's beaten literally everybody. A lot of his fights are rematches that he's beaten, or like all of his recent fights. A lot of them are rematches.
Oh, so he's just pulling an Usyk.
Yeah, essentially.
Oh, wow.
He's on a fucking tear. He won The Ultimate Fighter, and then a lot of the guys that he beat in The Ultimate Fighter, he would just end up rematching them in the UFC, and he would kick their ass again.
Oh my god.
So it's a tear. Like, I would say he's honestly like very close to being up there with Demetrius Johnson in terms of like GOAT status. I still think that DJ's got it, but if he gets maybe like 2 more title defenses, I mean, what else can you say? He's breaking flyweight. He's breaking flyweight right before our very eyes. So I think Pantoja's got it. I know that if you're talking about MMA math, Kara France knocked out the guy that took Pantoja to a competitive decision. So you could maybe say Kara France has a chance, but that's not how MMA math really works. If MMA math really did work, then Strickland would have lost to Adesanya. but that's not how MMA math works.
I remember that fight. That was a hilarious night. His opponent looks like the Zuck, so I mean, it sounds about right.
Why he? Yeah, he does look like Zuck.
Like, I
why
mean,
he look like that?
The exact same hairline and everything.
Let me look at Kai Kara France. His only other win is against Cody Garbrandt. And if you watch the recent fight, Usman versus Buckley, and you saw how Cody fought in that, like, a win over Cody Garbrandt is like saying that the sky is blue. Like, it's not like it's just all the time.
We're gonna have to make a video on that Usman fight, because that shit pissed me off.
The Usman fight? You watched that?
We watched it together.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
No, we did not.
We were right. I was literally right next to you the entire day.
Oh, yeah, we did watch
We did watch it, yeah, and I was pissed.
Yeah.
Because every time Buckley would start laying it, Usman would just hug him. Like a disappointed father laying on his, like, minor son to, like, be like, no, you can't attack. I did not mean anything sexual by that. Do not be weird. Don't be weird.
Don't say a disappointed father and his minor son.
You looked at me and I knew what you're thinking in your brain, and I was like, no, that's not what I meant. And you know that.
You couldn't have worded that any worse.
Look, I'm a little stupid, alright? So Zuck loses.
Zuck loses, yes. I'm gonna say by submission. Let me tell you something. This is another thing about Pantoja. You know how I said he broke flyweight?
Yeah.
They literally had to get the champion of another promotion to fight him. Because there were no contenders left at flyweight.
Oh my god.
There was nobody left at flyweight.
Dana actually did that?
Yeah. Do you know the promotion Ryzen?
He worked with them?
Yeah. Kai Kara France.
Why the hell do we work with them?
No, they make a deal with them because there's nobody left at flyweight, so they're saying, hey, we'll take your guy. And
wow, they're that Dana doesn't work with anybody. Like, I mean,
I think it's a little bit different from that. I think it's more just like for matchmaking purposes, and I don't think Dana handles that. But
okay, I was gonna say, because there's no way.
But like that's what they had to do for Pantoja.
Yeah.
And he subbed him in round 2. So I'm gonna say probably a very similar thing for Kai Kara France.
I gotcha.
I would say maybe a 3rd round submission, because Kai Kara France is probably better than Kai Asakura.
Yeah.
We haven't really seen Kai Asakura fight in the UFC yet. We've only seen him fight in Rising, which has similar but still different rule set. So I think, yeah, I'm talking about this fight way too much. These guys are midgets.
I'm gonna have a lot to edit.
They're shorter than me. Look at these heights. They're shorter than me. That's like
5'5" and 5'4".
That's saying something.
Oh yikes! Zuck is tiny. This is gonna be the most unhinged UFC predictions ever.
Okay.
We're at the championship. Yeah.
Yeah. Yay.
What are we thinking?
Okay. So this next fight. Main event, Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. Tell me what you know about these guys.
Okay.
Because you said these are the only guys that you know, and I want to hear your opinion.
Okay, well, I really do believe that, like, experience matters a lot, and, like, a lot when it comes to fighting and stuff like that. Keep in mind, I'm going to ramble a little bit because I'm trying to, like, recall my
This is the KodiakBND channel. Why is KodiakBND not talking?
Look, I'm learning as I'm trying to get the lore. Like, I had to do the same thing for Breakout when I started making videos for them, is I literally just kind of had to, like, go through myself and see it. So hearing you talk is actually helping me learn a lot of the lore. But I do believe that, like, experience matters, and that's kind of like why I do kind of lean a little bit more towards Charles Oliveira's direction, despite Ilia Topuria being undefeated. I mean, bro's literally had 45 fights compared to Ilia's 16. Now, I know Ilia's had, like, a lot of good wins under his belt, and I do believe this is going to be very competitive. But, I mean, I just really think Charles Oliveira just has a lot of, like, more versatility when it comes to his skill set from what I've seen over the past couple of years. It's been a minute. It really has been a minute, but at least that's what I'm thinking. It's tight.
I'm going to say I don't disagree with you in terms of the skill set. I think Oliveira sort of realized, like, halfway through his career that he can unlock the Kaioken, and then he can, like, even when he gets knocked down, like, he's still dangerous. Everybody knows that Oliveira is still dangerous after he's been knocked down, because then that's when you have to go to the ground with him, and nobody wants to go to the ground with Oliveira because he'll just submit you instantly. So I would say that's definitely Ilia's heel.
Yeah.
Or his Achilles heel when it comes to Oliveira.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of things that Oliveira has on Ilia that I think people are very much underlooking. Charles's finishing potential, his height, his size,
range, all that stuff.
Range, he has all of that.
Yeah.
Well-roundedness.
Yeah.
I would say like the only grappler that Ilia Topuria has like proven that he can grapple against was Bryce Mitchell, and like seeing how Bryce Mitchell is with like other fighters in grappling. Like even though Bryce Mitchell is good at grappling, he's not immune to submissions. Yeah. And like he recently got ninja choked, so I don't really know. And the dude barked over his unconscious body. Badass.
I remember that.
But like, so I get what you're saying with all of that, and Oliveira was also a former champion as well. So I think that this is definitely a very even fight.
Yeah. It's
I have to go with Ilia.
That's fair. You know, honestly, I think I'm gonna
say why. The only thing that people have said Ilia could lose to is like high kicks, because the only other time that he went to 155, this is not his 155 debut.
Yeah.
He's fought before at 155, and he got dropped with a head kick, but he then knocked that guy out in round 2. I forget his name. Yeah. But he knocked him out after. Mm-hmm. I sound like a dumbass, but I feel like
let's be honest.
Ilia Topuria versus Jai Herbert. Ilia Topuria got knocked down in round 1 to a head kick, but he was able to survive the round. Mm-hmm. And then second round he knocked him out. Yeah. He knocked out Jai Herbert. And people are saying that Ilia is weak at 155. That if Jai Herbert could beat him, then fucking Charles is gonna literally just rip him. Cut that part.
I'm not cutting that. I'm not cutting that. We're far enough into the video now.
Oh no. Okay. Thank God. What was I saying?
He's gonna rip him
brutally. He's
intimately.
I don't think Ilia is gonna lose for a very long time. It might be a couple years, I would say, before Ilia loses or before he retires, because he said multiple times that he wants to retire early. Kind of fucking stupid, but like whatever. Even though he's maybe not as well-rounded as Charles, he could probably survive long enough to find that knockout shot. And Charles is known to have maybe not a glass chin, but a crackable chin. Ilia Topuria, he has some of the most power I think I've ever seen. Yeah. He's knocked out Max Holloway. He's the first person to ever knock out Max Holloway. Max Holloway has been dropped before, but Max Holloway is known for having an iron chin. And that also proved that his win against Volk was not any fluke, and it wasn't because Volk was on short notice or anything, or that it was because Volk was fighting on 3 months after his head kick knockout to Islam. No, that proves that Ilia would have knocked him out the exact same way. Doesn't matter. I think that Ilia's faced people like Oliveira before. I think that he could knock out Oliveira pretty easily. Not easily. I'm not gonna say that actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm trying to be extreme and confident with my picks, but I'm not. I don't actually believe that.
See, the only reason I lean towards Oliveira a little bit more is just it just at the end of the day it goes back to the experience thing, and I truly believe, like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, styles make fights, and no matter what, whoever comes in with a better game plan is going to be the winner of this at the end of the day. Not only that, but like, I give a lot of credit, and you'll even notice this on like other stuff on my breakouts and stuff. I give a lot of credit to people that like have been hurt. And like, obviously we've seen Charles Oliveira hurt, and like you even mentioned earlier how he's dangerous when he's
that's
hurt.
Like a known thing, is that you don't try and go for the submission when Charles is hurt.
Right. So like I don't know, I see a scenario in my head where Ilia like hurts him, and then he starts trying to go for a finish, or he gets a little bit too over eager, because we've seen that in fights before, and like he's been countered. Now granted, he hasn't been like fully defeated, obviously. I mean, he has a perfect record, which, hey, beautiful.
But no, I really do think that Ilia is gonna get it done. I don't think that like I don't think it's as clear as something like JHONATA DINIZ versus Justin TAFA.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, why is that a fight? But I think that Ilia can still get it done. And I'm gonna say this one once more. I think that people love to romanticize the reign of Charles Oliveira.
Yeah. Because
he was once an underdog, and then he became the champion, and Oliveira is a beloved fighter. I have to say, I wouldn't be upset with either outcome of this fight. I would be more happy if Oliveira won. I love Oliveira, but I think also it's time. I think it's Oliveira's time. I think he had his reign. I think he had his moments, and now he is maybe a little bit past his prime now at this point. I think that all of Ilia's wins have also aged incredibly well, and maybe not all of them. Bryce Mitchell was not as good.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But I'm saying this to say Ilia is... Who knows if this is even Ilia's prime?
I feel like your prime as a fighter, like, I mean, because people, like, look at people who are, like, early 30s and stuff like that, and they're like, oh, yeah, they're getting a little bit old. No, that's peak. Like, that is your peak as, like, an athlete right there. Like, when you're from, like, age, I think, 28 to, like, 33, those are your best year. Like, that is the true peak of your athleticism.
That's the average, like, I would say that's the average, but then you have people like, I don't want to say John Jones because I don't fuck with John Jones, but, like, he became the champion at 20. Like, you're capable of doing that. It's more just...
Well, the difference is like, John Jones is a heavyweight that shrunk himself down all the way to middleweight. We're gonna talk about that in a whole another video. But regardless, I see what you're saying.
But I'm saying, like, with Ilia Topuria, this is, like, seems like for Ilia, it's just the beginning, and for Charles, it's kind of reached the end. Charles's most recent win was a decision over Michael Chandler.
Oh, wow, really?
Decision over Michael Chandler.
Wow, okay, you know what, you may actually be cooking, I'm not gonna lie.
Michael Chandler, after that, got finished by Paddy Pimblett.
No, look.
I do not hold anything against Oliveira. I love Oliveira.
But you can't ignore, like, the most recent performances.
I can't ignore the most recent performance, and I can't ignore that, like, Oliveira has been a win some, lose some type of fighter.
Yeah.
I can't ignore that Arman Sarukian could be fighting for this right now. Even though Arman Sarukian got a tummy ache and pulled out, I still think that Arman Sarukian has more of a chance of beating Ilia than Charles does. I think that if it was maybe like 3 years ago, maybe even 2, I would say Charles. Right now, I would say Charles is at a point where he's made his mark in the UFC. He's got incredible wins. He's got incredible statistics. I fucking love Oliveira. Like, he's awesome. Ilia is just that guy.
Honestly,
Round 2
after
knockout.
hearing that, and especially, I think what kind of convinced me there, I'm not going to lie, you had me, I had Charles until you told me about those recent performances.
If he could crack Max Holloway's chin after this was prime Max Holloway, by the way. Max Holloway is still in his prime. He beat Justin Gaethje the way that he did at 155, going up a weight class as an underdog. Knocked him out in, like, the last second of that round after piecing him up for 5 rounds. If he could crack that Max Holloway, can you imagine what he's going to do to Oliveira? Yeah, round 2.
That's valid. I'm not gonna lie, I've learned a lot thanks to this video. I'm getting a lot better about learning this knowledge with the UFC, stuff like that. It's good to be back into the mold. I know you've kind of shitted on this card, and honestly, based on what you've told me, rightfully so.
It would be a good card on a normal night, but this is a international fight week.
Yeah.
At least give us something more than 8 fucking fights.
I can't get over the Indian tattoo. I can't. That's the number one thing that keeps. So we have to do with the Indian tattoo. We got the Zuck on here.
I don't even care about that, dude. It's just.
Is he mogging me? Is Lima mogging right now? Look at him. Why is he mogging? We're ending the video right there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for tuning into this. I know this is a bit of a longer one, but, you know, I wanted to try to do some more UFC stuff type today. Well, all that being said, thank you guys for joining me on this video. I plan to bring him on a lot more for just a bunch of different stuff. He's a lot more knowledgeable about all this, so he's going to be teaching me as we go over these different things. I know certain names that I'll definitely be able to chime in a lot more as we go on and as I learn a little bit more. So I know I was a little bit more quiet, just trying to, like, you know, listen and engage. But Gus is very much a lot like me, as you know, what you've seen. Like, when he knows something, he knows something. So, I mean, as you've seen with how long this video is. So, yeah, I definitely got a lot of work to do.
Oliveira lost to Max Holloway, by the way. It was a long time ago. He lost to Max Holloway.
Did he really?
Yeah.
No, he pulled out the receipts. Even he looks sad about that in this photo. Look at that. Yeah. If you made it to the end of the video, y'all are actually goated. So just want to say thank you guys for watching all that good stuff. Trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year. With your guys' support, I believe that we can do it. And, you know, yeah, very unorganized video, but we plan to make more together on not just this, but maybe even some boxing content. Maybe even bring over weeks and have these two debate about certain things, and I just be the middle guy that just decides to learn. Or maybe I'll have my own opinions about certain things. I definitely got opinions about the heavyweight division, that's for sure. We're going to be seeing some videos about that very, very soon. So, anyway, my rambling aside, well, I'm getting it in now because I haven't done it very much in this video at all. Guys, love you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one, baby.
Strip John Jones.
Strip him!
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, I can't take no loss.